All
Hello,
right.
everybody.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Peps. Hope everything is going well. Have a good day. Hopefully, it will be transformational. My name is Manifest. I'm calling moderating the panel today. What we are going to do is we're going to do a quick 30-second introductions of everybody on the panel. So I'll start with Narcy, or anybody can go. Quick introduction of you and what you're trying to do.
Am I going first?
Yeah,
No, it's
sure.
Narcy, right? Yeah, Narcy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, peace, guys. My name is Yassin Alsalman. I'm a hip-hop artist based out of Montreal, Canada, originally from Iraq. I go by the name of Narcy, the neo-Arab rebel called Yassin. Musician, actor, director, writer, and currently I pop department at Concordia University, Canada.
Wonderful. Marvin?
All right. So,
Okay, anybody can jump in.
yeah, all right. Hi, I'm Nouah. I'm from Indonesia, Jakarta. I'm actually Arabic calligraphy. I do Arabic calligraphy. I'm a visual artist, and also I'm a part-time visual teacher at a high school. So, hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Hey, my name is Marvin Duran. I'm living right now in Mexico City. Marvin and Quetzal. And for a moment.
Wonderful. So we're going to jump straight in around the world, including Minneapolis, and then see how much information we can get. So we're going to begin with a question that being able to be unapologetic about your work and being able to resist our panelists to tell us about the time when you felt like you or resisted expectations to conform in your work.
Yeah, I mean, if I could chime in first, I think my experience as a musician, being from where I'm from, being Iraqi, being Muslim, and being in a place like Quebec, where there is a bit of a cultural divide between the, these settled cultures that came here, which are, British and French colonies at the time. Much of the narrative on a public level and a creative level are very didactic in their presentation. And I think I've been approached for, to sign to subsidiaries of major record labels here in North America and been told how I am to be packaged and sold to a public as a young Muslim Arab, and to sort of be a safe, quote unquote, and this was said to me behind closed doors, be a safe representation of your people, without the nuances of how diverse where we're from is, and how different voices can come from one country within the East, let alone the entire body of people. That's one great example that I had to, although, it would have done great financially on a visual level and a marketing level, it would have helped me as an artist, but I couldn't sacrifice my content, let alone my story, for money. It was something that I couldn't do. Much of the content of my work is very much about what's happening in the world and happening to our people, and more importantly, happening to our children and the next generation. And it would have been very irresponsible of me to to think about my well-being while destroying the well-being or the narrative of our people publicly. So I chose to go independent, and this was about 4 or 5 years ago. So it's really, it really helped me maintain my story and be able to do what I'm doing now.
Wonderful. To our panelists, I think to avoid the feedback, when one person is speaking, if everybody else can mute their microphone. So mute your microphone so it's your turn to speak. I see if you see the microphone sign. You got it?
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so yeah, Marvin, could you take that question? How have you been really boldly, give us an example of when you've been really boldly yourself or resisted expectations to conform? And also follow it up with how it's affected you going forward.
It's for me the question. Okay, since I was a kid, I was a rebel, and I always wanted to do different, and I wanted to push boundaries in society. And I found the way with my art or my creations as a fashion designer. So when I started the label with my friend Quetzal, this angry to provoke people and fashion society by doing crazy things, and we started here a little bit the movement of drag. We always wanted to do things, but we never thought about if people could just judge us. Actually, people did, but we didn't really care, because in the end, the most important thing, it was the people who really and got this as an inspiration to be free.
So just a follow-up question. So how do you think it's affected you going forward based on the decisions you made not to conform or not to worry about what others thought?
Hold on a second, please. This affected me in a positive way, because this just gave me courage to continue. And when you get like negative criticism, you just have to accept it, because people have different ways of thinking, and not everyone is going to support you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marvin. Okay, so I think I'll ask Noah to take the question as well. So Marvin, can you mute? Are you muted? Your microphone?
Yeah. So being unapologetically me is like, well, before I was working for advertising agency, and then it was like a torture for me, because it's like I have to do what the clients want all the time, and it's like really against for what I believe. So now I'm an independent visual artist, so I can do whatever I like to do and be myself. Like sometimes I have people like ask me to do like custom made calligraphy and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I have to say no and reject them politely, because it's like totally different from my style, and they don't understand. Like in Indonesia, even though it's like a Muslim country, they still think that Arabic calligraphy is like backwards art, so like historical art or something like that. So that's one of the struggle I'm dealing right now in Indonesia, actually. So, but yeah, just continue.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yes? Am I off? Okay, good. So the second question, I'll let Noah take this first. It's about sustainability and self. How do you make decisions about which or who you will work with? How do you stay focused and overextend it? I mean, I'm particularly interested in these two parts of the question. How do you make decisions on which projects you work on and who you work with, and how do you stay focused and not overextend it?
Well, I'll always do projects or you know, like work that resonate with myself, you know, with my belief, and that's why I don't really make living with my art. Actually, you know, that's why I do another job to pay the bills and keep my art like like the way I want it to. So I choose if it's like, for example, I was working with skaters in Montreal for a book, and that's like really the same kind of idea that we have. So I would do that. But the other project, if it doesn't have anything to do with my belief, I wouldn't do it. So that's my choice.
Great, great. Narcy, can you take this question? How do you not overextend yourself, and how do you decide who you work with and what projects you work on?
Man, I overextend myself all the time. I'm a Gemini, so there's no way of like balancing doing one thing at once. I'm always constantly working. You know, I'm a strong believer that, you know, get one thing done a day. So when I'm 180 days into the year, I'm working on about 180 projects. But I think that when making decisions as to who to work with and what to work on, I always ask myself before entering, what is the intent behind this project, both from myself as well as the people involved? Where does the money come from, and what has that money touched before? And you know, the money also comes with an intention and where it goes. And then eventually the team that I build around me, what is their involvement and how can I empower other people when getting involved in this project? And obviously in the long run, I also have to think, how does this add to the narrative or the story that I'm trying to create as a whole for myself, as well as for a shifting mother culture in the long run. So, you know, there's multiple questions I have to ask myself before getting into it. But that tends to come after the pre-production. I'll get involved on a pre-production level. And then when it gets down to the funding or wherever it's going, that's when I start asking these questions of intention, you know?
Great.
My turn.
So yeah, Marvin, please.
Well, the way I try to decide to who is, right now I like to work with people with new vision. As everyone, if I feel excited about what this another person could do, it will be a pleasure for me to collaborate or do anything with this. Normally I work most of the things by my own. I'm a little bit jealous of my work. So that is tough because, and sometimes I want to do everything and it's impossible. So I need to open myself all the time and said, okay, yeah, I need help and I need to work with some other people. But when it's about creative things, I'm very open. I'm very open to creativity, and normally I do a lot of collaborations with new kids and very passionate right now, and they want to do so many things, and sometimes they me on Instagram or Facebook, and if I like what they do, of course, it will be a pleasure for me to like it. I'm very like, no thanks. but I think it's important to have different visions to create something new.
That is a perfect segue to the next question, which is for you, Marvin, to start with. I mean, part of this year's giant conference is to pay ode and respect to Prince. And the third question has to do with mentoring. So we knew that Prince had been mentoring younger artists. How do you lift up others while building your own career or as an individual, and whilst uplifting your community as well? And how do you try? What motivates you to do this? So yeah, did you get that? Marvin, this would be for you.
Prince,
and this is on the question of mentoring and lifting up others whilst building your own. How do you do this, and what motivates you to do this? I'm also following up on this with you because you were talking about who you decide to work with.
Wait a second. Okay. About the community, how can I help, or how can I support? Well, right now I'm in a research doing projects that could help the environment, the nature, like green projects, consciousness. So I think in that way I could help a little bit indirect to the community or the society. When somebody came to me and proposed me collaboration, I did this kind of collaboration with some other people, and I think in this way I could help them to develop what they want to do if they don't have any other chance with some other people. I think, of course, I wanna help more in the future. Giving up to some other people also is good. I think that's some way I could support the community. I hope little by little I could do more and more and more.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Marvin, you can mute now. And so I'm going to send the question. And I think I also want you to focus a bit more on the angles of lifting up individuals, within the community as well, and what motivates you to do it, and how you choose to work with them in that regard to help lift up or mentor.
is this for everybody else?
It's for you, Narcy.
I think, one thing when I was coming up making art in the early 2000s and the world was, very xenophobic around specifically Iraq, it was very hard to find mentors, both from where we were from as well as locally here in Canada or whatever, that would support the story, because much of the public voice was a negative representation of our region. So people were afraid. You can imagine a Def Jam will not sign an Iraqi artist, that's aware, let alone that represents his mother culture. So it was hard to find mentorship in the early days for me. So when I reached the point where, although I'm not really at a level where people would come to me for mentorship, but on a traveling level, when I started doing shows in the region back in the Middle East, and then in the diaspora in different Western metropolises, I would encounter young Arab, African, Muslim, Eastern youth that were trying to get involved in creativity, but were finding the same barriers and doors were closed that I found when I was coming up. So at that point, I started sort of managing a lot of my time to help them and place them or introduce them to the right people that would help facilitate at least those conversations that will lead to the doors opening. So it was always a, it's like pay it forward. Whenever the door opens for you, you got to let other people slide into that door as well. And at whatever level you can, whether it's helping to mix a song or introducing them to a graphic artist that can help brand their stuff, or, placing a clothing brand in the hands of somebody that can eventually get it in a store in North America or wherever they want to be. So just sort of being a people connector was how I passed on my experience to people.
Thank you. So Noah, can you take this question?
So actually right now, I'm working with the youth at school as a teacher for them. At the same time, what really motivates me is the fact that I can ask them to be themselves, the mainstream media is really strong here. Even we are in Indonesia, everyone very much influenced by the West. So I'm trying to make the youth embrace their identity, and be proud of who they are, and be whatever they want to be, just not afraid of experimenting and stuff like that. So that really motivating for me, it's really rewarding every time I see them and they're really exciting with the artwork project that they're doing about themselves, about their identity. So that's the thing I'm doing right now, actually.
Wonderful. Panelists, questions from the giant. So we're going to start with you, Marvin. Minneapolis for us what's the best advice?
Can you type the questions out? Because you're dropping out. You're dropping out a lot, man.
Okay, I'll do that. But can you hear me better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. The first question is, what's the best advice you can give someone looking to truly find themselves and believe their path?
What's the best advice you can give someone to truly find themselves and pursue their passion?
And believe in their path while doing their art.
Okay. Marvin?
Marvin, begin, please. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, what I could tell is, or what I can tell is that, or your dreams, I think it's important to believe in yourself, to do what you love in life. I don't know if we are going to live another life before. We just have this life. And I think it's important what you love, what you have the passion for, and without fear. I think that's very important for me, to believe yourself. And don't pay attention about what other people think or say about you.
Wonderful. So Marvin, can you hit mute on your mic? I'm going to direct the next one. Narcy, this one is particularly. How do you navigate between as you interact and build?
How do I navigate between what?
Different cultures as you interact and build your brand.
I mean, I'm very much a product of those multiple cultures. If you're going to talk about Canadian culture, that's a very shifting identity. And then if you're going to talk about being an Iraqi that didn't grow up in Iraq, that's a very shifting identity. And then finally, with hip hop culture, it being born out of you know, the Black experience in America, I also have to pay respect and homage to the origins of that culture without, you know, misusing it or misplacing it in my voice. So I have to be very aware of these while I'm working. And I think because a lot of them are shape-shifting and I'm directly involved in the day-to-day of it, I sort of have to approach it from an honest place where I can be critical of them and of myself in them and be aware of myself while working in them. And I think now it's become, whether it's sonically and I'm in the studio and we're talking about production and involving sounds from Eastern music with sounds from Western music and finding a mesh between the two, or even with clothing where you take materials from back home and cuts and styles from back home and then meld them with cuts and styles from over here. And once you visually present those to yourself, it becomes a very natural process. So, and long story short, I think we're still trying to figure it out. And as we're figuring out, the main thing is to be completely honest with yourself and not take yourself too seriously, but show respect to the mother cultures. And that will always come back to you. You know, it's like putting things out into the air. It's karma. You know, if you put out something positive, it'll come back. So again, it comes back down to intent and eventually the long-term goal of creating a new story.
Can you hear me? Am I back? Okay, wonderful. Noah,
Yeah.
what are your sources of inspiration for creating your art? Cool colors?
Well,
shapes?
can't hear you.
He said, what are your sources
Well,
of inspiration for creating your art? Historical, color, shapes, or others?
all right. Okay. My inspiration is actually coming from my everyday reflections of, you know, like the community, my religion, my spiritual path, and, you know, like I'm a Muslim, so my biggest inspiration is actually coming from the Holy Quran. So that's why I do Arabic calligraphy, you know, and it is also part of my identity because I'm actually Arabic from Yemen. So that's my inspiration, you know, like trying to get back to my roots and, you know, like mix it with the Indonesian roots I have as well. So, yeah.
Wonderful. The next question coming all the way from Minneapolis is from Marvin. Marvin, what inspiration do you look for in creating your collections?
Almost everything could inspire me. Anything I could see, music, conversation, maybe feelings, a dream, different cultures. I think for me, my inspiration came from everywhere and everything. Collage of everything. I'm very visual and I love music, and also sometimes I could be more focused in something if I travel in nature, maybe something ethnic that I could see, also markets. I don't know, so many things. I think even a glass of water could, I think everything.
You're still muted, M.anifest.
Yeah, I said he's very lucky if everything can inspire him. Oops. Am I back? Okay. You're very lucky if everything can inspire you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do 2 more questions. Before we even close off, individually share with folks in the room and plan steps how best they can connect with you online, and if anybody wants to contact you about any event or any work, how best they can contact you. So yeah.
You can find me on social media as Narcy Narce, Narcy, that's on Instagram and a bunch of different stuff. You can look me up on Facebook as Narcy, Narcy. You can go to our artist collective page, which is wearethemedium.com. There's a submission and sort of outreach page over there that'll directly come to me and people in the crew. And for bookings and any shows like that, you can go on my Twitter, The Narcissist, TheNarcicyst. I made it difficult for the world with the spelling of my name. But, you know, you can find me online. Just look up my real name based on the program that you guys have from Giant Steps, and you'll find me one way or another. The internet is a scary place. Nouah?
Nouah.
All right, okay. You can find me, you know, like at the Instagram, Nouhaina14, Nouhaina 14, and on Facebook. So that's it. That's it for now.
You guys could find me online in Facebook. Quetzal it's like that. It's like Marvin Y. Quetzal. Instagram and Tumblr and what else? I think Twitter also. But in Twitter, I am like Marvin. Marvin is online.
M.anifest, we can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Okay, in 45 seconds, if you can, this is the closing question. Can you tell us how Prince brings you inspiration on your work and your life?
I'll go first. I think as a musician, you know, as a young child, I have to be honest, I grew up on Michael Jackson. But when I came across Prince a couple of years later, as I got older, I realized that the one thing about Prince is that he was himself 100% of the time. The way he stood up to the major labels and took power of his own art, the way he constantly created and empowered artists that were around him. And really, you know, he was himself 100% of the time when you saw him, and he was a workhorse, was super inspirational, and he never forgot about the world and his work. Although a lot of his work dealt with love and self-love and belief, it also was about loving the world and loving the people around you. So that messaging and being able to be one of the biggest artists in the world and one of the biggest inspirations of the world and not sacrifice your own soul was something that will always stay with me from Prince, I think, you know.
Wonderful. Marvin?
When I was a kid, I was very in the closet because I came from Venezuela, from a little town society. You could see so many things. So I was a kid, and I remember that I saw a video, a Prince video. He was singing and dancing, and I got shocked. I was like, oh my God, what is that? Who is him? Who is her? Because androgyne, and he has like a beard, big hair. He has like makeup, like these boots with high heels, colorful clothes, very feminine. And I was like, oh my God, something happened to me, you know? I was like very like the feeling, but I know that that really changed me. That gave me the possibility to believe that I could be myself also, and that I could came out when I was older. And I think Prince inspired me a lot in my aesthetic, because I'm virgin, and that's something I like to do also with my fashion. Yeah, to propose maybe no gender, and if you're a man and if you wanna wear high heels, you could do it. You could jewelry, everything. So I think for me, Prince was a visual inspiration. And of course, his music, it's amazing. I love it. His films, everything. I mean, he existed. And he gives this inspiration to so many kids, I'm pretty sure, all over the world.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Marvin. Finally, Noah.
All right. Okay. Well, growing up in Indonesia, there's not many people who really knows Prince of who he really is, you know. So every time I think of Prince, you know, it's like the first word coming to my head is like honesty, being honest to yourself, being honest to your art, and you know, and not afraid of what other people might think, and you know, and it's really inspiring, especially when you are living in the country like here, where everyone's trying to imitate everyone, you know. So it's something really important, like for me, like, and also he's the only man who can wear high heels but still look good, you know. So well, that's it, you know. And every time I meet a friend who love Prince, we instantly become best friend. You know, in Indonesia, it's like, what? You listen to Prince? Hell yeah, let's go for a coffee, you know? So it's connecting. Yeah.
That's amazing. I remember that for my own self. Since we're going for coffee. Thank you so much. Thank you. To everybody in Minneapolis, has been wonderful, and hopefully we all. I think there's so
Peace, Minneapolis. Thank you.
give a peace out to me.
Peace, everyone. Thanks a lot for having us.
Have a nice.
Hey, it was lovely. It was lovely to meet you guys, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, man.
Please join us right now.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Peace,
All right. Bye.